Welcome to the Northern Post podcast. I'm Chloe Waterhouse.
And I'm Sam Millwood.
And today we're going to be talking about laying the foundations for success when you're starting from zero for your hospitality brand. In today's episode, we're going to be talking everything hospitality, from pricing to cash flow, through to branding and getting your first customers through the door.
So I'm Sam. I'm a chartered accountant by trade, experience in the finance industry for 10 plus years, and just found a bit of a niche for helping restaurants out. I think I'm really good at it. Everything from just starting out, how you build the processes to have a successful business, I think lends itself very well into an industry that you can have loads of different things going on at once. I think I'm very good at bringing it all together. That's why I want to help this industry out.
I'm Chloe. I run a design and marketing studio called Apollo Studio. We help businesses within the hospitality, leisure and events sectors. Anything that you go and do is who we work with. So from branding to marketing through to content creation, we're there to share your story and sell yourselves online. I've lived in Manchester the whole of my life, with the exception of going to university, and I've seen Manchester and the Northwest change throughout the years, and I want to be part of the next step of how Manchester's going to look.
So unlike Chloe, I'm actually very new to Manchester, so I've lived here for 6 months. Worked around the area for a couple of years now. I lived here for 6 months, but I love it. So it's my first experience of living in a city, but all the cool bars and restaurants out there is amazing, which want to be part of the reason why they stay open longer.
We'll be launching events, having panel talks and so much more, so make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter and subscribe to our channel for all the best bits on hospitality. So let's kick things off. My background is obviously not in finance and accounts, but when it comes to launching, what is the biggest mistake you often see hospitalities do when they first open or first begin to start?
For me, it is cash flow and the number of systems that a business is using. So there are a lot of systems that you need to have as a restaurant, but it's getting the right ones in place and integrate together. In terms of cash flow, why I think that's so important is it is super hard to make a profit as a restaurant. So the most successful restaurants, even when they are making a profit, it is quite small. So having a forecast in place, as an example, is a must. And I think a lot of business owners run the business, from my experience anyway, from the money in the bank. But there are so many things to think about. So you've got your margins that you need to nail, you've got your staff costs, which are huge, and then you've got a few different tax liabilities thrown in there as well. And if you're not thinking far enough ahead, you won't have put money aside for these future tax liabilities and whatnot as well. And you'll be, again, going back to the running the business through the bank. If you're just looking at the number in the bank, some of that money's not yours because you should have put that aside for your future liabilities. But if you don't factor and plan for that, you'll soon get a bit on the arse.
Have you seen any sort of businesses get stung like that before?
Very much so, yeah, very much so. Especially when, we're talking about restaurants from a launch state. At first, you probably don't want to go VAT registered because your customer can't recoup the VAT that you're charging on your sales price. But when you do eventually go VAT registered, because hopefully you have to, because you reach the 90,000 threshold it is at the minute. Hopefully the restaurant's success, so you're gonna hit that target at some point. It's not putting that money aside. So if you don't have those good systems in place where you can track how much you should be putting aside, eventually when you get to the point where you've got to do your first VAT return and your accountant tells you you've got X amount to pay, it's like, shit, like where's that coming from? And then you start getting into the realms of, you can set up time to pay arrangements with HMRC, we can pay it monthly over a period of time, but I think as soon as you fall foul of slipping into that process, it's very hard to come out of it. Because then, you without injecting money in yourself or, I don't know, getting a loan or something, it's hard to get yourself back on track. So it's super important to know your obligations right at the start and just get into a habit of putting that there and that there. And then if you have a separate savings account set up, for example, when you come to pay that VAT bill, you should hopefully just be drawing money from that savings account where you put it aside every month anyway. But a lot of people don't do that. Yeah, so it's difficult.
Would you say there's like a rule of thumb about how much to put aside for VAT or any tax aspects?
So I it's a tough one with restaurants, because if this was any other type of business, those other types of business might have VAT that they can reclaim in their purchases as well. So you can argue a rough percentage of sales that maybe they should put aside. But restaurants, cafes, hospitality businesses are really struggling because most of their expenses don't have VAT on it. So you think of a restaurant, you've got raw produce, there's no VAT on raw produce at all. Staff costs are their next biggest expense, there's no VAT on staff costs. So you're almost not able to recoup VAT. So what I think you should do is strip it right back and think, when you're deciding on how to price your menu, even if you're not VAT registered right at the start of trading, pretend you are and factor it into your pricing. Because in theory, 20% of the money you take in, that VAT element, that 20%, it's not yours, you're collecting it on behalf of HMRC. So if you can get into the habit of putting that 20% aside in a savings account, when you eventually come to make those quarterly VAT payments, hopefully that 20% that you put aside is over-egging it. There'll be some bits that you can reclaim VAT on, so 20% should be more than enough. And then whatever you're left with in that savings account, just put it back into the business account and treat yourself as a bit of a bonus, I guess. But the most important thing here is pretending you are VAT registered right at the start, because you're going to have to at some point. So factor it into your pricing and just have those good habits right at the start.
Why is having a cash flow so important then for hospitality businesses?
Okay, so I mentioned a little bit earlier on that even the most successful restaurants make a small amount of profit. So it's not unreasonable to say that for every £100 you get in sales, you actually might only get £5-6 of profit out of that after everything. And that sounds ridiculous, but that's the truth. So of that £100, you might have £30, say, that could be the stuff you've had to buy in to make your fancy stuff to then sell. Okay, so then you got around, on average, with the restaurants I've worked with, it seems to be around 30% of your revenue is also then like staff costs. So you've lost 30 quid to your cost of sales, you've lost 30 quid to salaries, then you've got your rent for the place to factor in if you don't own the building yourself. So you've got that in there, which is a big cost as well. And then now that's without talking about insurance, professional fees, software, subscriptions. All of a sudden it doesn't sound so ridiculous. So with that in mind, you can't just run blind and run off the bank balance. You have to plan ahead, because cash flow in the hospitality sector is everything. If you have a bad month and you've still got like those staff to pay, and all of a sudden you're still holding on to loads of stock that you haven't shifted, your insurance has still got to come out every month, your rent's still got to come out every month. So you have to build up a bit of a buffer. And if you're not planning ahead, you are literally running blind. So so many businesses fail because they struggle to look ahead and they don't prioritise it, and they're too in with the doing and whatnot, and focusing on the day-to-day in the restaurant without thinking ahead. And for me, that's where a lot of businesses go wrong, or most businesses even in the hospitality sector. That's where they most go wrong from a finance point of view anyway. But there's so much more to that, and I am not a marketing professional at all. Collie is. So yeah, let's chat about the marketing side of things and how they go wrong there.
I think, so
to take me back to, like, you got an idea of a restaurant in your mind.
Okay.
You have an idea as to when you think you want to be open by. It's in the future somewhere. How should I be thinking right now? So like 6 months time, say, in 3 months time, I don't know. I want to open a restaurant. I've got a venue in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know the vibe, what I want it to look like, what I want the food to be, etc.
Yeah.
What do I need to do?
Not rush is the main thing. There's so many hospitality or experience brands that say, hi, I need to launch my brand. And I'm like, okay, brilliant. When are we thinking? 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right, okay, two weeks, that's really short lead time. And although I can work miracles every now and again, I can't often do them that quick. And if you're doing them that quick and you want to launch successfully, you need to take the time to be able to plan what you're going to be doing. I always say the bigger the lead time that you've got before you open those doors, the better, because you can build up the hype, the anticipation, create FOMO. You can have your sort of your launch event before opening to the public, which is perfect for sort of capturing the content, capturing the essence of what your venue is going to be about the food, about what sort of experience it is that you've got. And
do you think there's an ideal time? You say like the longer the lead time, the better. What would be for you to do your best work? What time would you want?
If a business came to me and had their branding nailed, the venue was pretty much ready, I'd probably say a good 6 weeks minimum.
Okay.
Is what you need.
That's
minimum.
What you just said. That's if they've got their branding.
That's if you've got your branding and everything. If you've not got your branding and you've not got anything like that, I'd say, a good 3 months before you open your doors, because you want everything to be done correctly. You don't want to rush anything. You don't want to say, oh, fine, it'll do, let's go. And I'm sure a lot of like hospitality businesses will know this. They will go back and forth with the chef a number of times to discuss the menu, discuss what's going on at the prices, everything like that, changing the dishes up, and even down to the very, very last day. They might even be on the same day that they're opening, they need to print, and it's like, you're creating something that is so, so important. Don't leave it to chance, don't rush it, just have it all organised. And there's experts and the specialists that work with hospitality brands day to day who know what you should have and know where to fill in the gaps, even if that's not your area of expertise. Like you with finances, I would come to you for sort of financial advice, or what do I do if my restaurant's struggling? What do I do when I'm opening? How do I, do this for the, I don't know, maybe like the till system or something.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think if you've sort of got like a bit of a checklist before you open, before you launch, know what needs to be hit and when, then you're going to launch successfully.
What would you say is the best way to increase awareness of the restaurant that you're looking to open? Like, how do you get people knowing that it's there, and how do you get them wanting to actually go? Like, what would you say? What would you advise people?
So I think it ultimately depends on what the venue is and what the experience is, because a cool chicken wing shop is going to be very different from like Louis, for example, that opened.
Sure.
It depends on how you're doing it. It depends if you're also like a franchise or if you're an independent. I'd say the most important thing to do though is collaborate with media partners about what it is you're doing. So working with PR. I don't offer PR as a service, but I know that the most successful brands have press releases done, and then they go out through media partners. So in Manchester, you've got The Mank, you've got Secret Manchester, you've got different types of pages which already have your audience, already people that are engaged with finding out what's new in Manchester, where to go the weekend, where to go for after work drinks. Collaborating with those, sharing this exciting new element. So I think it was Okasa or Osaka, I can't remember how you pronounce the name of it. Which
I think thinking of the same place though, right? Like next to Australasia in Spain.
Yeah. It used to be Sunset by Australasia. Yeah. So when they launched, they just teased their brand elements slightly, teased what it was going to be, and I saw it all over my Instagram feed. It was, like the
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok's a big one. But it was all like drip fed of like this new brand starting, and it's like, oh my gosh, what's this? And I think they gave something away like 1,000 free cocktails for the first 1,000 people that came through the doors.
Wow.
And you want to be part of that. You want to be a person who's like, oh, I got a free cocktail from the brand new bar that's open. It's like, cool, how did you get that? And you've already got those talking points of like, okay, yeah, you're giving away like 1,000 free cocktails. It's not going to be cheap to do that.
Yeah.
But how many of those 1,000 people are going to stay for a second one? Or, oh, actually, should we try some of the food while we're here?
100%.
Which is really interesting. But I think, kind of going back to the main question of people finding out about it, it is all to do with collaboration. And even if, say, for example, a hotel in Manchester doesn't have a restaurant space within it, it's putting your restaurant and collaborating with the hotel. I was at a hotel in Australia in February, and they had this beautiful printed $10 bill.
Okay.
But it wasn't a $10 bill, it was like a 10% off or $10 off bill for the restaurant that was next door.
Oh, nice, okay. But it looked like a note.
it looked like a note,
Okay.
but in the middle of it, it had like a picture of their restaurant. It said like the opening times, valid from and until, and it felt really personal. And if you're not from that area, for example, you get a lot of business travellers coming here. They might not know where to go. Maybe someone's coming to the arena for a concert. Oh, let's make a night of it. We're staying in a hotel. We'll go out for dinner. Maybe breakfast the next morning.
Yeah.
It's how can you collaborate with all those different aspects that are coming to Manchester to sort of help your own business find out about others but your own.
So I went to the café because I'd seen it on socials and whatnot as well. If I was opening a restaurant and I wanted like the Manc and Manchester Eats and stuff like that to come to my restaurant and do some filming and whatnot and put it out on socials, is there like, do you know if there's a cost to that? Like how much spend any of those kind of things? Because they obviously work.
Yeah.
But
I'm not 100% on the cost side of it because I don't directly deal with that. I'm guessing that there will be a cost to post on the page as if you were an influencer. I think it also depends on who you know as well. So if you've got good contacts in the industry, if you're brand new, just starting out, you know nobody, say you've come up from, I don't know, Nottingham, and you're like, yeah, I want the best business ever, but you don't know anybody here. It's kind of like, right, who knows those people? So for me, I'm going to plug a PR agency, Echo PR. I always go to them because they know everybody in Manchester. They're brilliant. They've done so much for my clients.
Yeah.
Whereas if a client came to me, they're like, oh, who should I speak to? I don't know that bit. I can tell you what font to use, or you know when to post on social media, that type of thing. But I couldn't tell you who to reach out to, or how to. I
think I love that about Manchester. Though. That's again, as someone not from Manchester, from just putting myself out there a little bit and going to networking, like we wouldn't be doing this event, networking event, right?
Yeah.
But I've met some really cool people that if I wanted to do my own thing, I know someone who does that. So I guess what we're saying is with this, obviously we want to run events. We have our first event pending, but I think it's maybe not in business owners' nature in the hospitality industry to go out there and network with other business owners.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing around collaboration. So we want people working together and helping each other out, and you don't know who you're gonna meet.
No, definitely.
How you can help you out.
Yeah, like I've been to a few hospitality events before, but a lot of the people that go are sort of the sales and events managers.
Okay.
And I don't always think that that's necessarily the right people to send to your networking events.
Yeah. Because
you're trying to sell your venue, but are they the right people making decisions for the rest of it?
It's just sounds like driving.
Yeah.
And I guess that'd be commission.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like I've been to one before, and that's how we've secured our other venue, was through somebody I met at a hospitality event who was
nice.
one of the salespeople, and it's obviously worked. But I think again, it's like if that's your only goal, if your only goal is to generate private event sales and corporate event sales, that's all you're going to get out of those events. Whereas if you're wanting to learn more about sort of like, okay, yeah, how much we need to put away for a VAT bill, for example, or I'm really struggling with this at the moment with email marketing, I just don't know what to do with my data. Those people at those events aren't going to answer those questions.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we kind of come up with the Northern Buzz networking events, any sort of panels and workshops that we're going to be doing in the future, is because there's those questions that need answering and there's those connections that haven't been built. But yeah, I think
it's exciting, right?
It is exciting.
There's this kind of stuff for, I was going to say generic businesses, but not necessarily. But there's a lot out there for service-based industries, and maybe people who sell online. There's a lot of e-commerce stuff to help people set up. How do you set up like a Shopify website and stuff like that? But I don't think there's anything business focused for restaurants and hospitality businesses. So that's the gap that we've kind of seen. I think we can make a big impact in the area.
Yeah,
pretty excited to see how far we can push it.
I'm excited as well. I think just off the back of what you said, you've got your services and you've got your sort of things for e-com brands. Setting up an e-com brand, it's like whether you've got one product or whether you've got like 10 products, it doesn't really matter what sector it's in, it all follows the same principles. Whereas your hospitality businesses, they can be so broad and so different. And I mean, you could argue like, okay, well, one's a tech product on an e-com store, one's an eyelash brand. It's like, they're really different. It's like, yeah, but they're online. You've got such a bigger audience really, because like someone in Australia could order, or someone in Tokyo could order, whereas here you need people from Manchester to be talking about it and stuff like that. And I think to commit to going to somewhere, especially if you're not in the city centre, committing to going, you know, I live out of the city centre. If I was to drive in, it'll take an hour. If I'm driving an hour there, an hour back, knowing, right, okay, I'm going to go for a meal, it might be, you know, a couple of drinks, starter made, it might be £100. That's a lot more for me to give than a quick impulse purchase online for some
You really
sandwiches.
want to go, right?
Yeah. So I think that's definitely something to consider.
Do you have a favourite restaurant in Manchester?
Oh, that's a good one. My favourite restaurant in Manchester. I have a favourite sushi restaurant, which is just outside of Manchester in Didsbury.
Yeah.
It's called Ring Sushi Hot Food. It's the smallest little sushi place ever. You go in and there's a guy who runs it. It's just him, and I think it's a family run business. And every time we've been, it's either been just me and my partner or like one other table. He doesn't open regular hours. You have to ring him to see if he's open.
Nice.
But he does. His food's amazing, and it's places like that I recommend to people. Like I just found it. I was just googling sushi and it came up. But
that's pretty cool how it came.
Either there or I'm trying to think of like some other ones off the top of my head. But have you got a favourite?
So I love anything like small plate style because I'm the worst person for just getting food empty. You know, you go somewhere and you have like 2 mains and whatnot, and you're not sure what you want, but whoever you're with chooses the one that you didn't go for in the end, and theirs comes out and it looks way fucking better. Yeah. And I'm just like, what am I doing?
I know what you mean. It's like, I like El Gato Negro for that.
So I'd say that's the restaurant that it actually means something to me. It's like, so I had like my first date with my current girlfriend and whatnot, and it's really cool. But they do this thing where like when you book a table online, you can book for no extra cost at like chef's table. But it's like sat in front of the kitchen with an egg all the food, and it's a lot more like collaborative and having stuff like that's really cool. Yeah. So that's like the Spanish tafati side of stuff. But then even in this building on the restaurant at the bottom of this, Kalos. Yeah. It's like a Greek place and partners. It's mega.
I was just about to say, so there's it's called Dimitri's on Deansgate at like the very, very far end.
You know, I've walked past it, never been.
Yeah, I've been going there since I was about 14, 15.
It's Greek, right?
Greek, yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. And I'd go back, but it's like, I don't know whether or not my parents, like my mum goes there, that's influenced me to then go there because she really likes it. I think as well, like when she says, oh, you need to try this restaurant, I'm influenced by my mum's decision. But yeah, that takes me on to another thing actually, is I went for a meeting not long ago with a tapas bar, and they said our target audience is those who are like 40 plus, and I was like, oh, that's like a really, you know, you're missing a lot of an audience that's at the bottom. Yeah, and I said, why? He said, well, you know, they've got money, they're a bit more affluent, they'll be happy to spend the money. I said, okay, that's fair enough, but you're completely forgetting those, is it called a DINK, like a dual income, no kids?
Oh, I've never heard of that term before. No.
Okay, so dual income, no kids is this kind of like new demographic, if you like. Yeah. So I'd be classed as that because me and my partner together, no kids, we've got the dog, which we treat like a kid, but you know, we've got no kids. We have disposable income. Yeah. I'm not paying for school uniforms, I'm not paying for school trips, nothing like that. I'm not paying for a child. I'm spending my money on going out, trying new things, trying new places, maybe buying, you know, I don't know, some new shoes, or going out for a hotel for the night, a weekend away, because I don't have the responsibility or commitment of a child. Whereas when you're 40,
great show.
You might have, like, being 40 years old, you might have a 10-year-old, you might have a 20-year-old, and that age difference is so vast. Like, your 20-year-old could be in uni, you might be putting them through uni, you don't have that spare change in income.
Sure.
When they're 10, right, okay, they're growing out of their football shoes like mad. You know, you've got to think about Christmas, you've got to think about birthdays, you've got to think about their friends' kids' birthdays, and not their friends' kids' birthdays, but they're like their school friends' birthdays, right? I need to buy them a present as well now. Are they really your target audience with the money, or are they someone who's going to value a proper, like, I know for a fact this will be a really good meal, or will they spend the money on a bit of a risk?
What was their response to it?
Never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good shout, because when you articulate it in that way, it's like fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even like yourself, like you live in town, you're walking past places and going back to your apartment.
Dangerous. It's a dangerous game.
It is probably dangerous, but again, it comes back to that. I would have to really know I want to go somewhere to drive an hour into town and an hour back out. For you, it's less of a risk because you're only 10 minutes away. You're not spending the time on doing that. So
I quite like just going for a stroll, because there's so many new places opening all the time, and you see somewhere new all the time, and like just walking down random streets in town, and you just think, I've got a big list on my phone of places I want to go to. So this is like an interesting one. I spoke to an app the other day that are trying to focus on loyalty in the hospitality sector. And that's a big thing for them, and where they think they can help businesses out. So they were founded in the Netherlands, and something that they said they did some research on, which I actually think I'm very guilty of as well. And apparently their market research tells them that 90% of people don't go to the same restaurant twice.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? When I think about it, I've been so guilty of that, because I've just said that there's all these nice restaurants in Manchester. I'm going down this list and I'm thinking of ones I want to tick off. When I've been to one, I'll have an amazing time.
But you'll go back.
But there's so many amazing restaurants. So like, how do you entice people to go back again?
Yeah.
Even if they've had an amazing time, right? There are so many nice restaurants around. How do you keep drawing people back?
Okay. I think there's two things here that you can talk about. Okay. One of them being, you've already gone, you're already a customer. It's harder to get a new customer than to get one to come back. Because you've already built that trust, you've already built that loyalty, they already know what to expect. And I think for me, so there's my village is quite small, it's quite different to Manchester. We've got 5 or 6 restaurants. There's one I go to only on a Thursday or a Wednesday because they've got offers on.
Nice.
And for me, I'm like, that's a place for a nice midweek treat. But I'll also go there on weekends for drinks.
Okay.
And then there's an Italian restaurant called Sorella, and I absolutely love that restaurant. Like, I love it to a T. But that's our special occasion restaurant. So we go there for family birthdays, my birthday, my boyfriend's birthday. Like, we've been like 3 times this year.
Nice.
Because the food's amazing, service is amazing, and you feel like you just get to know them because they own the cafe next door as well. But they don't offer any sort of like 50% off midweeks. And I'm not going there midweek, I'm going there on special occasions. So I think it depends on...
Do they know that they're that kind of restaurant though?
That's what I mean. I think they do know. Whereas, I could spend, I'll just use really round figures for this. I could spend £100 with them twice a year. Or I could go to another restaurant that does the 50% off midweek, and I'm going there 10 times a year, spending 50 quid a time. They've already made more money just for getting me the door that many times.
Yeah.
But then I'm also going for drinks and cocktails because I think, well, yeah, I could go there for drinks and cocktails, but I prefer this one because, I probably say like your loyalty aspects are really important. Most businesses that I've spoken to recently seem to be quiet between like the Monday to Thursday period.
Oh, yeah.
And I think as well, like after work drinks are dropping off now because people are working from home. So those who aren't commuting into city centres, they're not going for those after work drinks. Like, oh, should you fancy one?
I hear people throw around like Thursdays and New Friday kind of things.
Oh, don't get me wrong, Thursday is New Friday, especially in my house.
Is it?
Yeah, I love it. But it's one of those where like, are people less likely to go out? Are people more likely to go out if there's like between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. you get 20% off your bill? That'd entice me more to go, but then am I classed as like a bargain hunter? Whereas someone who lives in town anyway, it's like, oh, well, we're there anyway, let's go out.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like looking for, you mentioned the midweek sort of offers and whatnot. I do like looking at more inclined to go somewhere on like a Friday night or a Saturday night or something, but it feels quite naughty going out for like tea in the week and whatnot. So when you see those midweek offers, it does draw you in. But I'd love to see the finances on that and see like how much profit they make during those nights as well.
Yeah.
Do you think it's to draw people in to come at a weekend with like a quick mate? Oh, we had an amazing time then.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing this weekend?
Yeah, potentially. I think it's just from businesses saying to me like, we're quiet these days. We need to not. I'm not saying that they're cheapening the brand, but it's places like Tattoo that wouldn't do that.
Yeah, so I've been to the Kitten.
Yeah, the Gordon Ramsay one.
Very nice. Yeah. I had a great time and whatnot. Maybe they're looking to make money on drinks. Is it 50% on food?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just pull people through
Probably
that
don't
way.
make any money on any margins on the food, minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sexy Fish, I went the other week. Have you seen the fish is falling down?
So I've seen a pic. I've never been in, but I saw a video of it the other day. Is it like the octopus thing?
It's like it was like a swordfish.
Oh, shit.
We won't go into too much into that, but the swordfish is valid. But before then, they did have a 3 for £25 early dinner course. So it was like until like 5 o'clock you could book it, or until 6 o'clock you could book it. And I went with a friend, and we ended up spending more than that. You know, oh yeah, let's get a drink as well. Let's get this as well. But then I made a TikTok video just of it, doing my little voiceover as I do. It got 22,000 views.
No, I see.
On my TikTok with like,
because you mentioned specifically about that offer and Sexy Fish.
Yeah, and it got 500 saves, and it was like,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so imagine, you know, you're putting those offers on, but imagine if you invite a content creator or someone who's like, you know, local to Manchester just to, oh, do you want to come down? We'll give you, do this. Free drinks, here you go. Making a TikTok video, but then you can also use that on your paid ads as well, which is.
Do you think that's because people have this perception of Sexy Fish, just as an example, as this like premium place to go for food? So the fact that they do this offer, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So I've never been before, but that would be a good entry point for me to go to see whether I like it.
Whether you like it or not. Yeah, I think as well people think it's all just fish. There's other dishes on there.
Yeah.
I think it's good like the after work vibe, but it's also, oh actually while this food was amazing, it was quite a limited menu. I'd like to go for the bigger menu.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something to think about. One thing I did want to know from like a finance side is, you know, when businesses are doing these like midweek offers or trying to pull people in, how do they know how much to reduce things by? Like, is there a limit of we can only do this much discount to even make money, or, you know, because you've got staff and labour costs as well. Yeah.
So you need to be really on it with your margins, and I think that restaurants should be aiming for around 70 to 80% gross profit on the dishes. So what I mean by that is if you sell a plate of food for a tenner, it should only have cost you like £3 to make, and that's £7 gross profit, so a 70% margin. So we were talking about these midweek offers and whatnot, and if all of a sudden you're offering 50% off on food, that £10 becomes £5, still costs you £3 to make. Now you've only got a £2 profit, so now you've got a less than 50% margin, and then with all the other costs underneath that, if you were doing that all the time, you wouldn't have a business. So it's quite interesting. But I think what you just mentioned, that I hadn't really thought about it, but now it kind of makes sense, is if for those midweek offers you have a smaller menu perhaps, then you can be clever with the items that you offer, I suppose. And you might sell something normally for 10 and it costs you 3, but these ones on these menus that you put out, they might cost you 2. So I think you probably need to be clever. But I've seen it before as well, where if you did want X, then you'd pay like I don't know what the word is, what you call it, but you pay like a little bit more because you want that dish, like an extra £2.
Oh, a supplement thing.
That's the one.
A supplement charge? Yeah.
I couldn't think of the word. But you can do stuff like that as well, because if you're doing that all the time, you very quickly run out of business. So you've got to factor that in. But I think the money in those instances are on drink spend. So you've got we've done a lot of research into it in terms of like how you increase revenue in a restaurant, and you can either get more customers through the door, or how you increase the average spend for the customers that are coming in, and sort of upselling drinks and whatnot is a big one. And I've been to restaurants before where you sat down and you're there a good half an hour and no one's asked you whether you want a drink. But maybe someone's come and taken your order already, so they've missed an opportunity to get an extra drink out of me.
Yeah.
So my first drink's going to come now with my food maybe, whereas I probably would have had one when I'm deciding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I always think that as an example is like a quick win.
I've never thought about it that way, because the amount, like, I've been to some restaurants before and it's like, bloody hell, they're not even asked for a drink. Yeah, more to do with cafes than anything as well, because you'll go in a cafe and they'll take your drinks order and your food order at the same time, or they'll take your food and drinks order at the same time, and that's fine. But my dad likes coffee, and I can go in with my dad. I know that he'll have another coffee during that meal.
Fair.
But even like with restaurants, you know, you're going out, you order your drink straight away, and then your food comes. You probably need another one midway through, but then it's afterwards as well. It's like desserts. Yeah, most people are normally full. It's those, would you like I can't remember what the word is for it as well, but like a coffee after your meal, or a digestive drink.
Yeah.
And it's, again, like an alcoholic drink that you're making a lot of profit on, because, you know, I can buy a bottle of vodka in Tesco's for 20 quid.
Yeah.
And you're buying it in a club sometimes, like £300. And then we're not even talking about your Ibiza. But I didn't even think about how you miss those.
Another one that I thought was really, really good, like you mentioned Louis earlier, or Louis. Been once, had a great time. But when I was looking at the menu, they were super nice. Like the waiters and waitresses are really, really friendly. And the guy that we had, can't remember his name, but he was like, while you're deciding what you want, do you want me to just get you some focaccia? And I bet most people just say, oh yeah.
Yeah, bread for the table.
So they've literally just spent money already without even thinking about it, because they've bought you some focaccia. It's banging, by the way.
Same with olives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to order olives though.
I do.
But rather than people asking, do you want some olives?
Yeah.
Maybe some places do that, but just asking someone if they want a certain thing, I think most people will probably say yeah anyway.
Yeah.
And that's, you've upsold to that person straight away, because I might not have ordered focaccia.
Well, that rings a bell with, you know, Hawksmoor, the steak restaurant?
Never been, but yeah, I've heard of it.
So I went for my boyfriend's birthday last year. Lovely place. We normally ask for vouchers for Christmas for like birthday parties, which is another thing I'll ask you about in a minute, is birthday vouchers and Christmas vouchers and stuff like that. We ended up ordering like a couple of different steaks to try, and then we were like, I don't really know what sides to get, like what should we get? We normally, you know, steak and chips, and we're like, no, we want something different. And we asked the waitress and we said to her, like, you know, what would you recommend? And she said, well, what's calling you from the menu? And we were like, oh, this and this. She's like, well, if you like the sound of those two, you'll definitely like this. Nice. And you'll like this. And we were like, like, her opinion, she works there, she knows that it's cooked, she knows what it tastes like. I trust her opinion, so I was like, okay, look, we'll try that and we'll leave the other one. And what she actually did was she brought out a very, very small portion of the other side.
So you could try it.
And if we hadn't ordered as much food as we had, we probably would have said, oh, actually, can we get a bigger portion of that? And it's almost like a, you know, like a try before you buy. You go into Asda and, you know, sometimes, well, I don't know if they do this anymore, they did when I was little, they had those little pop-up stalls.
I think you still get that now and again.
With like the tiny little paper things with like cheese in it. And
I think of cheese.
Cheese, try the cheese. But like, if you're trying something, then you're more likely to buy it. It's like, you know, you're walking through Manchester Arndale and someone there with those tiny little medicine shot glasses of, I don't know, try the hot chocolate. Oh, come on then. Oh, should we get one?
I look into, is it the Witards shops? They've got the hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
All the time. Go, should we try the hot chocolate?
Just leave, but we don't talk about that. But yeah, it's just, I definitely think things like that are good. So going back to birthday vouchers, actually.
Okay.
I've always thought they're quite important for brands because it boosts the cash flow.
Yeah.
What's your sort of opinion and take on it? Should restaurants and hospitality brands offer vouchers?
Okay. I think they should, because it's an easy way to maybe entice loyalty. Because someone might have gone, like, if, I don't know, if you said to me, I really like Hawksmoor, and then I was in a position where I was buying you something for your birthday or Christmas and whatnot, and you'd mentioned to me you had a really nice meal with your boyfriend there before, now I might think like, Chloe's mentioned Hawksmoor before, I've been more enticed. Maybe if I didn't know you very well or know what type of restaurants you like.
Yeah.
You've mentioned that to me before. So I was like family or something. Our Chloe's mentioned Hawksmoor. I know she had a great time there, so it'd be an easy gift
Yeah.
to get you. I think you'd really appreciate it still.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for that respect. Yes, it's good for cash flow, but again, that person might not cash that in for 6 months. And when they come in 6 months' time, you're not going to get any money unless you upsell to them and then they super exceed the gift voucher. Yeah. So you've got the money 6 months ago. How you would typically depends. People do it differently. If a lot of your revenue is gift cards, you'd want to show it differently in your accounts, and rather than recognising the revenue straight away when you're looking at how profitable you are, you'd want to recognise those gift cards in the month in which they've been cashed in, because then you can see how profitable that month was based on the service that you've delivered and the gift card that was bought for that service.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of businesses that don't think about those kind of things, they'll recognise the revenue in the month that they sold the gift card, but then when you look at financial data month on month next to each other, they'll have provided the service over here, but they don't have the revenue.
So sometimes I say to my clients, what are you doing for Black Friday and Christmas? And we talk about this from August. Yes, we say the C word in August. I sometimes like to say, you need to incentivise someone to be selfish but spend money. So for example, there's a restaurant and if you spend £50 on a gift voucher, you get £10 for yourself on another gift voucher.
Okay.
You spend £100, you get 20. So you're getting, I don't know the percentage of that, but you're getting a percentage back for yourself to then go and spend in store as well. Would you say that's a good idea?
So talk me through that again. So if I walked into a restaurant to pay for a £50 gift voucher for someone else,
yeah,
the £10 that I get, that's for me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
Because then it's like, oh wow, I'm gonna buy it now and buy it quicker because I get this extra £10.
Yeah, being selfish but buying something.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I've actually not seen that before.
Okay.
I've never seen that before, but I like it.
Yeah, they do it a lot for e-com brands, but I feel like hospitality brands definitely should do that, because if I've got a £10 voucher, I wasn't going there originally. I was still going to buy someone else a voucher. I've just bought it earlier, but then you're getting me through the door to spend more money as well.
Well, let's talk about, like, again, say I'm a family member and I don't know what to get you, and you mentioned Hawksmoor. If Hawksmoor did something like that, I'd be more inclined to drag myself along with you and be like, we'll come as well.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden Hawksmoor have got
a table of 6 or something.
Yeah. More people rather than you just going with your boyfriend.
Yeah.
And because I've only got a tenner off for myself, now I'm going to go there and spend more money.
Yeah.
And £10 off what we would spend if we're having like a couple of courses, a few drinks, isn't much in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, people, it's hard to get people to spend money, but people would see that psychologically as if they didn't use that, then they've lost money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually really like that. So that's quite cool that you mentioned it, because I've not seen it, but I think that would really work.
Yeah, I do like that idea, but I also think as well, when it comes back to you saying earlier on about you're giving someone 50% off and you need to be making those profit margins, is the terms and conditions under your voucher. Because say, for example, not everyone's going to Hawksmoor, not all these big brands are doing it. You know, smaller brands could do it, like, I don't know, a ramen bar. Your average spend's going to be a lot smaller than you just going for a bowl of ramen, maybe one drink. And your bill, like my bill on its own, could just come to £20.
Yeah.
For me to take £10 off that is quite a lot. It's 50% off.
Yeah.
Would you recommend maybe adding like a minimum spend over £20 at least? Or
I think so. Yeah, I think so, because in that example there, when the average price of all your dishes are relatively low, any hit on those margins, it's really going to impact the business, because you're having to get a lot of footfall and a lot of covers to make a lot of profit, gross profit, before all of your running costs, to then ultimately make a profit at the bottom. So yeah, in a restaurant like that maybe isn't high volume but has a low average cost, I think you have to factor something like that in, because I think as a restaurant you should have an idea of you call it, you do like a break-even analysis. So it's like, okay, so what are my running costs? And if I'm running at 100% what are my staff costs, well, I need to hit that in sales. So, okay, if I need to hit that in sales, I need to spend this amount of money to hit that amount of sales because I need to buy the produce in.
Yeah.
And then you get an idea as to how much your sales needs to be to cover all of that. And then when you reverse engineer it, you can probably work out what your average spend per table needs to be.
Yeah.
And then you can implement stuff like that where you're giving back to someone, but you're also looking after yourself as a business. So there needs to be, a bit of give and take.
Mm-hmm.
So the person understands that, this is really, really fucking good and this is going to make me go to the restaurant, but the restaurant needs to not feel disadvantaged as well.
Yeah.
And they need to look after themselves at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think average dish spend comes into that conversation.
Yeah.
And what type of restaurant you are you? People walk in, walk out. Do you book for certain sittings and then the restaurant knows that, okay, I'm probably going to do X amount of covers, how many sittings per cover am I going to do? Yeah. It all comes into play, right?
So if we just loop back to the very beginning about the launch, because I feel like we've gone, not off topic, but we've gone very far into the topic. When someone is about to launch, what one piece of advice would you give to them? Or what few pieces of small advice would you give to them that are definite that they need to do when it comes to finances?
Okay. So I think it is very easy to think about avoiding costs when you start a business and you try and do a lot yourself in simpler ways because you don't want to spend, right? I think having a really good bookkeeping software is a must.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen no ends of business owners in different industries as well, not just hospitality, that run things off a spreadsheet. But I think if you're not naturally finance minded, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And I've seen some forecasts in the past where people have said, I've made a forecast. And there are so many things that they've missed out. So having a good bookkeeping software, I would recommend something like Xero. So it's Xero. I think it's the best in the market because two things. So Xero say they've got an open API. So what that means is that if you've got other cool softwares that you think will really benefit your business, Xero is there with like open arms going, integrate with me. So you've got this concept of like having one source of truth and you want your bookkeeping software to be that. The other reason why I think Xero is the best is because I think all the softwares, in my opinion, like your QuickBooks and your Sage, they do a job, but I think they're built more with an accountant in mind. Whereas I think Xero simplifies it a little bit more and it's a little bit easier to navigate for someone who isn't finance minded. Like within a couple of clicks, if you're shown, you'll easily be able to come to a profit and loss, for example. And they're quite nice when you play around with the reporting as well. You can customise it to what you want to see. So I think having something where you can, in black and white, see how your business is performing month on month or even week by week is essential, right? That just spits out in black and white, rather than these spreadsheets that you've mustered together that might not be in the best format. They may be a little bit difficult to see, and they might not give you like clarity on what you're looking for straight away. And then you'll resort back to looking at, how much money have I got in the bank? And again, you're back into this bad habit of looking at a part of cash that isn't all yours. So I think, having Xero is really cool. Then I'm going to go into pricing. So when you are designing your menu and put together what dishes you want to sort of put out there to people, so pricing is so important, right? So you've got to be thinking about how much are these things costing to put together. Are you getting a good enough margin on that? But you need to factor in an element of wastage as well. So this is an area that I think restaurants get wrong. They don't have the right systems in place to track what wastage looks like and how valuable that is, how much money they're leaving on the table, right? So you want a software where you can kind of create recipe cards. So each recipe card will have how much of each ingredient it takes to serve that dish, right?
Yeah.
So you want a software that you can create those recipe cards on, but you also do your ordering through. So it is an all-in-one sort of integrated recipe card stock sort of system. So if you've got all your recipe cards set up and you're using that system to track your stock, in theory, you should know how much of each dish you should be able to serve based on the stock that you've got. That won't happen because you'll come to replenish your stock once you realise you're out of something. That's then how you can track wastage.
Right.
Because you've put through the system how many of each dish you've done in a certain day and how much in theory raw materials you should have used.
Yeah.
But there will always be a gap, right?
Yeah.
Someone will have burnt something and chucked it in the bin and then they didn't tell whoever, and you can work out quite nicely from something like that which dishes are going wrong, and people are getting tipped up all the time.
It reminds me of working at McDonald's and Nando's.
Yeah.
It was the shittest job ever when you have to do the waste count.
Okay.
So you do waste count at the end of breakfast or end of, like, you know, halfway through the day.
Tell me how this works out now from somewhere like that.
You'd literally be stood there with a clipboard with a tick box of, like, not a tick box, but you'd have all the like meat patties or quarter pound of meat or whatever it was, and you'd have a bin next to you and another bin there, and you would pick out the bin and put it in the other bin and put one.
Serious?
Yeah. And I don't know whether or not they still do that. This was like 8 years ago. But then you'd be like, right, okay, I don't even know what this is. But like, obviously you wouldn't be counting chips.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, there's just a few chips. You wouldn't count each individual chips.
Yeah, low margin, I guess.
Yeah. But then like places like Nando's, we used to have a tray and say you dropped like half an avocado on the floor. It happens.
Okay.
You chuck it in the tray, end of the day.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I worked in a couple of different stores. The one I worked at in Preston was a lot smaller, so you pull it out and there'd be like half an avocado, a couple of wraps.
Okay.
The wraps as well, they'd rip. And if anyone from Nando's is listening, I didn't do this. Some people would just, if a wrap ripped, they'd just wrap another wrap around it and just roll it together and then off it goes.
Fair.
So there'd be stuff that in that
because
sense.
They didn't want whoever to know that they wasted a wrap.
Not wasted a wrap because you still wasted it. They just didn't want to remake the wrap.
Got you.
Because the other one below it might rip again, and it was like, okay, it's probably safer if I double up on the wrap. But yeah, stuff like that is how. I mean, they're massive chains.
Yeah, it's mad to me that unless things have changed now, that there isn't some more efficient way
A better system.
of tracking stuff like that.
Yeah, I think as well, like it probably plays into it. Honesty from staff as well, and like, you know, you used to be a bit frightened. Oh God, I've just dropped like 20 chicken nuggets on the floor. I'd have kick them under the counter. Didn't do that. You know, kick them under the counter or whatever. Someone else's problem for later on. But it's that case of like, you know, if you can get your staff to sort of help you out, like, okay, we've noticed that quite a lot of chicken nuggets are being dropped on the floor. What can we do to sort of protect the chicken nuggets? You know, like extra measures to make sure like the waste's not going wrong, or you know, like we used to have these. Have you ever worked at McDonald's?
No.
No. So the guns that you'd have for the mayo, it was 1 click, 2 clicks for another burger. So 1 click of the mayo for.
When you're actually putting the sauce on the bun.
Yeah.
Got you.
So that was kind of like the recipe cards. So then you knew, like the mayos, you know.
I've always wondered how they tracked stuff like that. So you put in the same amount on every burger.
Like the ketchup and the burger thing.
Yeah.
Oh, they were dead cool. Like little guns. But like you'd squeeze it and a bit of drop out, and then you'd squeeze it and a bit of drop out, and they were standard in any store you went to, so it wouldn't change.
Yeah.
Same with the salt, like you'd do 1 big turn and it'd all go on it. So that was
Just
really
put your
easy
hand
to
there
track.
as well to do.
Yeah, up there
Yeah.
at the top. But stuff like that was easy, but then, you know, it comes to Nando's and it's like, you've got a bit more leeway. Like, oh, it's a scoop of mayo, right? How big's a scoop?
Yeah.
How much? Like a coleslaw soup, right? Okay, but is it heaped? Is it not? Is it, you know, making sure all those things are like properly tracked? And I think as well, like probably training your staff to know that as well.
Exactly that, and incentivising your staff as well. I think like I have implemented some things in the past where an example of the business owner not being involved in the business. So more of an investor approach.
Yeah.
So they're entrusting the head chef and front of house to manage the day-to-day operations, but they're being challenged in that sense to act as a business owner, which is really cool, and it's quite empowering to be left with that level of responsibility. But maybe that doesn't come natural to those people. So your chef will more likely not be amazing at putting something that looks and tastes incredible on a plate, and the front of house will be amazing at sorting all the staff rotas and making people feel welcome and the whole customer experience side of things. But when or if they're not challenged to think about margins, they won't naturally think about it. It's getting stuff out the door that looks and feels amazing and selling the experience and whatnot. But I had a situation where a restaurant was challenging themselves to hit 75% margin in the kitchen, 80% behind the bar, and actually they were hitting more like 50 and 55.
Right.
I actually looked at the numbers, which is really bad, and they were loss making because of that. So we implemented like a really cool system that tracked stock a lot better and helped identify wastage and helped identify like what's actually moving behind the bar as well. So you're not over ordering stuff that can be quite expensive, some of these spirits and whatnot. If you're not selling any of it, it's sat there and you spent all the money on it and it's not shifting. But then we incorporated the head chef and the front of house into the management meetings as well. So we're discussing the finances and they're involved in those meetings. So they're held accountable then for understanding where we want to be as a business, and they can clearly see the direct impact thinking of margins has on that bottom profit figure. Yeah. So it's very much like, okay, this is what it was, but if we did hit 75 and 80, look at what it would be. And when you provide a clear visual like that, this is what happened. If we hit our margins, actually this is what would have happened. Yeah. And it would have been this. Like, well, if we're this, then we can pay people better, then we can like pay bonuses out and stuff like that. Like look at the impact this has on the business. So, inflation's going through the roof, things are more expensive, people want more money and stuff like that. Sometimes it's hard to justify why you think you want more money and you're not doing anything different perhaps. But that's like a really cool example where it's like, okay, this is what's happening now. This is where we want to be to have a successful business. You can have a direct impact on getting to this point. And you can do loads of fancy stuff and they're probably more likely to want to keep you on and make you feel looked after and stuff like that. So
no, it makes sense.
It's cool when you're looking at what happened and this is where we could be. Yeah, you see that clear difference in those bottom two figures, the actual profit figure. It's mind blowing, and it really isolates people's or directs people's vision in the right places. Yeah. And then they start thinking about more what they do day to day.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and like coming from a background where I worked at God knows how many food places. When I was there, I think one of the main issues, not to get too into it, but one of the main issues was the team felt very disjointed. It was very much like, at Nando's you don't have your head chef or whatever, you've just got your grillers, you've got the floor staff, you've got this, you've got your managers, your staff trainers, and then the business manager. And it almost felt like a constant battle of floor staff and kitchen versus management.
Oh, really?
And I think that plays into it, because then if you don't feel valued by your managers and you think, oh, they're just going to sit in the office not doing anything because they're not sharing what they're doing because that's nothing to do with you, do your job, you don't feel part of that business.
Yeah, I get you. That makes sense, and I think that carries across loads of industries, right? So I've worked in more corporate places in the past where it is a big hierarchy of different job titles, and you are maybe just a number in that environment. Yeah. And maybe you don't have that direct contact with the client, but the partner does, who's years ahead of you. Yeah. It's very difficult to feel on board with where the business wants to go because you're just being told to do a job. Yeah. Right.
And I think that kind of links back to what you're saying, is kind of bringing those people into the meetings, making people feel like a team. And again, this links back to the marketing aspect. It's your team, what's going on there, the waste counts, the point of sale service systems. Yeah. it's all an ecosystem to make that business work. And I think that's again where this like collaboration comes, even just between your staff. And I don't know, I do think a lot of hospitality businesses are disjointed in that they don't feel valued, and it's like, oh God, I've got to go to work, whereas, oh no, I get to go to work today.
Well, someone said to me once, and it stuck in my head, and I've said it to so many people in the past, and it was when people think they lack motivation, more often than not, it's not motivation they lack, but clarity.
Okay.
And it's the whole knowing the reason behind what you're doing, and what the greater impact that has on what everyone else is doing. It's the why behind what you're doing. So if you don't know what that's leading towards or what's in it for you or whatever, you are just mulling about your day, aren't you? And just doing your task. And I think people like to feel purpose, don't they? As humans,
definitely. You're not just like a cog turning, oh yeah, I've made X amount of whatever today. It's like, oh no, actually I've made someone have a really brilliant anniversary. That's an impact. Like, I don't know, but yeah, we'll come back to that on a different topic anyway, on another episode. But I'll link it back to like the marketing side of it. It kind of goes off what we were saying just then. It is an ecosystem, and you know, marketing is much of your front of house staff, your host, welcoming someone through the door, to having a fantastic meal, to then, okay, you've been through that experience, but what goes on before it, what goes on after it? And again, it links back to, you said 50%, was it 50% of customers don't go back?
90% in the Netherlands.
90 in the Netherlands don't go back for the second time. There must be something going on there then that's stopping people going back. It's like, you've already got this person through your door. It's cheaper to retain them than it is to acquire a new one. What's going on? And I see a lot is not no one, but a lot of people aren't collecting the customer data. And when they're collecting it, they're not using it, and if they're using it, they're not using it right.
How would you want to use it then? So what sort of data? If you were working with a restaurant and you were like, this restaurant's got no data at all, and you want to start now, what questions are you asking?
First things, email, first name, birthday.
Okay.
That's all you need to start with, because once you've got the birthday, right, okay, they're going to be planning birthday meals, they're going to be planning drinks with their friends, works dues, all that type of thing. You've also got their main point of contact that they're going to be booking with. You can follow up once they've been to your restaurant. How was your meal? Leave a review.
Fair.
You know, you can have two pathways. We did it for a kids' experience not long ago. They were getting a lot of negative reviews. And I'm like, oh God, what do we do for this? Because you just keep leaving them on Google. And we had an email automation going out saying, leave us a review. And lots of angry mums were like, this is shit. Anyway, we implemented something where it said, did you enjoy the experience? Yes, Google reviews. Leave all the good reviews there. No, feedback form.
Okay.
So, fair enough, we're learning about why they didn't enjoy the experience so they could change it in-house, but from a standpoint of like, we want to present a really good experience, the Google reviews reflected that. Sometimes I think restaurants do need to do that because, you know, most of the time you just go to TripAdvisor or whatever when you're a bit frustrated, like,
reviews are huge.
Chicken was cold, but but even stuff like that, like the following up of how was your meal, did you enjoy it? And then, you know, I always say you need to have your automations in place for when someone books, okay, here's your confirmation, here's the information you need to know. Hi, 2 days to go until you're booking, any special occasions that there'll be if they're not filled in that box. You know, just to make sure, like, I'm a bit annoyed sometimes. I do put on my bookings like, oh, it's an anniversary.
Guilty. I've definitely done that. That's it.
Nice table, anniversary. I've got nice tables. There's a lot of cake for free, which is nice.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? It's those type of things that make you go back and, oh, they actually really care about it. And like, then on your anniversary, it is really special.
And make a fuss of you and stuff.
Yeah, like gauchos, I think, give us a glass of Prosecco each and then like a cake to share at the end of the meal.
Okay.
But it's those type of things. It's like, have you booked for a special occasion? Then is someone actually reading that information that you're putting through, like, yeah, I'm booking for my anniversary. Oh, okay, I've just realised that your anniversary is on this date of your booking or around this time in this month.
Yeah.
Can we then use that info to put it into an automation for next year to say, your anniversary is coming up, why not celebrate again at X, Y, and Z?
Would it confuse the system if your anniversary is every week?
No. it shouldn't do
Yeah.
if, like you said, 90% of people don't go back to the same place.
Yeah.
I'm having anniversaries all over the place. But, you know, it's those things. Hopefully there's a lot more truthful people than me.
Yeah.
And, you know, places like Gauchos should be getting in touch again.
Yeah.
But, you know, even when you go into a hotel, you might go for a night away or something like that. You know, are you collecting that data, the emails, or what's the occasion why you're here? It's those type of things.
So, two examples that I've seen. Wow. From before you go to the restaurant and then while you're at the restaurant, talk about it. So, Louis was the first time I'd seen this done. So, send you like an email when you book it and whatnot, but then if you want to, you can upload like a headshot of yourself.
Oh, I remember saying that.
So they know it's you when you arrive because they're expecting such and such by a certain time. And when someone arrives and they've got to book it in, they've seen a picture of you, so they can greet you by name.
Yeah.
And stuff like that feels quite personal, right?
Yeah.
So I really like that. And then a restaurant that's a good example of I know what people are doing in terms of the upsells and whatnot, but it feels very authentic and I think they do it very well.
Okay.
It's Flatiron.
Yeah.
And the food's banging, like I love it, and that's one where I have been back a few times now. But they're very good at upselling for what is a small menu. But then you get the little meat cleaver token thing and you trade that in for an ice cream at the end.
Yeah.
And then when you chat into the person who's doing the ice cream, they're like, "Oh, what size did you have?" And you're like, "Oh, I had the fries and the mash and whatnot." And they're like, "What? You didn't have the aubergine?" And they're like, "Oh, you should definitely try that next time. It's amazing."
And then come back.
So you know what they're doing. They do it with a big smile on the face, and then you walk out the door with your ice cream, and everyone's thinking, "Where are all these ice creams coming from?"
It's those point of contacts though that is also your marketing. It's also getting across who you are as a brand. Even just as simple as going back to Nando's, you put the chicken in the holder. That's just to signify to the waitresses, like, oh, they've not been checked to see if their food's okay.
Oh,
that's the only reason why they're there, really. It's like, oh yeah, that table's reserved. So when they get up and they go and order, we know, right, don't sit anyone there, someone's meant to be sat there.
Right.
It also means that, right, if you've seen all these chickens throughout the room, why is no one being followed up, making sure it's all right?
You
also want to...
thought about that. That's what I'm going to be thinking about. I'm going to hide it.
Hide the chickens. Oh, God.
No one's asked us how our meal is.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like asking, how was your meal? It's all those things that feed into this, like, experience of, like, oh, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I want to come again. Following up on the email, oh, yeah, how was it? I want to come again. But, yeah, that's kind of... Yeah. One thing I'm seeing a lot of at the moment as well is business owners or general managers and people with influence within these hospitality businesses saying, we don't want to change, we've always done it like that, and oh well, you know, I don't really want to. Why is that one of the most... Why is that one of the worst statements that you can say at the moment, especially with everything increasing in price?
I think it's very much that, what you just said, that should be a trigger point for maybe looking at something, doing something differently or in a different way, because in any industry, what worked once doesn't always mean that that's how it's always going to work in the future. And I think you need to flex, and I think the businesses that don't flex are the ones that don't survive, to be blunt about it. So you've got, obviously, inflation. So all of that, businesses, suppliers are all going to be putting their prices up, right? If they want to stay open. You've got staff salaries that have increased because national minimum wage has increased. Employers' national insurance has increased. Landlords are putting up rent prices. So now all of a sudden, you set out your pricing to hit certain margins because you know that hitting those margins mean that your profit will be X. But you've got all these things happening underneath, all of your running costs that are increasing. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, if I hit those same margins, but all these things over here have increased, I'm still going to be loss making, right? Yeah. So I need to be a bit more creative. So how can I either increase my margins or just increase my sales anyway and just get more people through the doors? There's two things I mentioned there. One's being more efficient and making more money through what you're currently doing, And another one is doing what you're doing in terms of not maybe changing your pricing, not changing your suppliers, but how can I sell more?
Yeah.
So that's when you've got to get clever. If you can't fit any more people through the door, you got to think, how can I upsell to people? How can I incentivize staff to think about the experience and ask people if they want X, Y, Z? How can I structure my restaurant in a way where I can get more sit-ins per cover I do? How can I get creative with the space?
Yeah.
Maybe I've got to let go of that corner in the room that like looks really empty, but I quite like it there because I put a statue there and it looks really sick. I can get another table there, and if I do two sit-ins or 3 sit-ins in an evening, that's like 3 tables of 4 that could sit over there.
Yeah.
I'm full as a restaurant already, but that's space that I'm not using. So you've got to be clever, right? You've got to think, how far am I going to last doing things like I've always done?
Yeah.
How long will that let me run for? And if you're doing a good forecast, you'll soon find out. It'll soon show you in black and white.
It's even like you were saying though earlier on about El Gato Negro chef table. So I've eaten there before, I was just on my own, and I was like, I don't need a booth or anything. That could have just been a wall, but it's not. Instead, they've got 10 chairs.
Yeah, put it up by the kitchen and stuff like that. And
so like an individual going on their own, I get to sit and experience it, but going as a couple or as some friends and stuff like that, you've opened up that space, as you said, like, we could have had like a really nice wall with a cool picture on it, but instead you've then got the extra 10.
Yeah, it's good. So like, I guess as for a solo person, it's less like, you don't feel like you're just having a meal by yourself.
Yeah.
A little bit if you feel, I don't know, socially awkward or anything. So you haven't got to,
Yeah, but I think as well, I'm then not taking up a booth which would fit 3 other people on it.
Yeah, and if the restaurant is thinking about like space and money and whatever, they're going to be maybe pissed off.
Yeah, definitely.
Like wrongly, rightly or wrongly.
Yeah.
They'll be thinking about it, and they'll probably want you to naff off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But stuff like that's cool. Like the whole seat by the kitchen bit. I don't think many restaurants do that. We bounce around a lot there, but I think when you look ahead and look at the numbers and look at increased costs, I think if you don't challenge yourself to flex as a business, you just won't have a business because your profits hammered.
Yeah. That's fair enough. So again, going back to a conversation I had with a potential client the other week, was about their marketing. So they're positioning themselves as a luxury cafe, which then opens in the evening, does the evening meals. Okay. They've got 3 floors, they've just kitted out a brand new kitchen, new head chef, new menus. It's beautiful. So
traditional coffee shop in the day?
Coffee shop with quite a big menu. So they do like sandwiches and paninis and stuff like that. But then in the evening they'll do like tagines and Italian food. It's a bit spaced out what they offer. But their social media does not reflect what their brand looks like in person.
Okay.
Online, it's got these stock images of like a tiny little cartoon character holding a coffee saying "Open now."
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't relate to the beautiful lemons. Like they've got these like hand painted lemons drawn all over the walls, and it's like nice Sicily vibes and stuff like that. I'm like, why can't you relate that into it and sell the story of the experience and the atmosphere on your social media? They take pictures of today's specials and it's a picture of an A4 sheet of paper with it written out from Word, and I'm like, that does not position you as luxury.
Yeah.
Now, as someone who walks past it every day, because it's in my village, I already know that it's a nice place inside, I know the food's good, I know that the staff are friendly. We get a lot of what I call tourists, because we've got like the moors near my house and people go up for walks. I know that when I've planned to go into Lake District and I'm like, right, okay, I'm going doing this walk, where should we eat afterwards? I'm already looking online, I'm looking on Instagram, I'm typing in, I don't know, cafes near Penrith or cafes near Wainwright, 1, 2, 3. I'm finding a place on there and I judge a book straight away by its cover, as do many other people. Luxury cafe, that sounds really nice. Scroll. No, it doesn't look very good. And people are missing that already. And when you've got competition that's already on the same street, that's sometimes for people their first point of contact or first like visual point that they're going to look at, and you need to sell yourself and almost have yourself as a bit of a portfolio there. It's the same with the wedding venue I used to work with. Beautiful wedding venue, stunning grounds, but when they're posting a close-up picture of a pie saying call for pies, that's put me off as someone who might be looking for a wedding venue in the future.
Okay.
Because
okay.
like, okay, yeah, you're a luxury wedding venue, but you're selling pies, call this number. It's like those two don't communicate. And if you want to be doing that, you need to make sure, like, right, okay, how do we keep this in fitting with our brand and what our persona is? Is it something that goes on your Instagram stories? Is it something that just goes on a separate Facebook page, like the kitchen at
I was thinking that,
hotel?
like, if you've got two very conflicting ideas, just separating them out socially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as well, one thing that not necessarily business owners, but like general managers as well, don't want to do is have things cost more money, but it will cost them more money in the long run if they don't do things earlier.
Yeah.
So a lot of staff members might be running the social media accounts, and it's like, oh, Helen posts our pictures on social media. It's brilliant. Anyone can post a picture on social media. I'm not taking that away from anybody, but not everybody can come up with a strategy. It's like, yeah, okay, those cocktails look really, really pretty.
Yeah.
But what is the story that you're saying to me? Is it two cocktails together? Have you got two hands in it? Can you see the jewellery placed on one of the ladies' fingers and a bracelet on the other to show that they're having an intimate girls' dinner, for example, and that they're celebrating something? Or, you know, how's the text position? How is the frame made up? Whereas if it's just two cocktails saying, Jasmine made these cocktails, it's like, with respect, nobody cares. It's the same with like food. It's like, okay, your beautiful food imagery. Is it just one piece of, like one plate that looks really nice? Anyone can do that dish anywhere. It's the vibe that you're selling with it.
Yeah, I like it when, as you just said, you see like a plate of food and whatnot, but then you see, if it's somewhere you've never been before, what the walls of the restaurant look like and what the colours are and stuff like that. You think, it looks pretty bougie there.
Yeah.
Or it's like, it looks really cosy.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yes.
Yeah, even though, like, I know we've talked about quite a few different luxury brands, even places like Bunny Jackson's, which are on the lower end.
Bunny Jackson's.
Well, I went the other week and they put the prices up.
Okay.
Which is fair enough, everything's gone up, I'll take it.
Fair.
But with that, you know what you're getting, and you know what the vibe is, you know what you can go wearing. Like, I know straight away, I'm going to tattoo, I want to wear a nice dress and heels. You go to Bunny Jackson's and that, you're going to get left out. But if I go like this, in jeans and something more casual, and I already know what to wear through looking at their social media accounts. I already know that, okay, this is the type of date that it is that you're going on, or like the type of people that you'd be going with, and for whatever reason.
You don't want to feel like...
Underdressed.
Yeah.
But I think as well, it just sets the tone of what to expect, because I'll loop back to this luxury cafe, and in the evening they do like really nice, meals. That's not reflected on social media. People who are looking for that experience are not getting that straight away, and they're not going to come for that because they think, well, my money is my money.
Like, this is like a bit deeper, but people have a fear of doing things or committing to something where they don't have all the information. Yeah, it's like a barrier we put up. If we don't have the big picture, then it's easy for us to avoid doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, like, you've got, I think with how social media is today, I think it's like not even 2 seconds now to capture someone's attention straight away before they just scroll past. If I've seen something that looks shit, I'm not reading that. And it could be a really important message, and no, I'm looking at that, don't want to. But if it was something that's eye-catching and it's like, oh, what's this? It's different, it's disruptive, that's what you then look at. I think as well, like, for a lot of people, money is tight. They don't want to give their money over to something on half a promise that it's going to be good. But yeah, I'd say that I think going back to about a girl running a social media account, that's absolutely fine, but there's a lot more to it than that, and that's going to be a main driver in getting footfall through your door, which is then your main driver to getting people to spend money in your store and to come back again.
Leaving reviews and stuff.
And you need this kind of like chain of, okay, first point of contact, so like your awareness, and I won't talk too much about funnels, but you do go through a bit of a funnel. So you've got your top of funnel, which is your awareness stage of, oh right, okay, I'm finding out about this brand, keep seeing it on my feed, before you funnel into the middle of the funnel, where it's like, hey, I might make more of a decision to engage, to follow with them, to share with a friend, stuff like that. And then your bottom of the funnel, which is where you're so close to making a table booking, to ordering a voucher, to maybe the middle of the funnel, you sign up to the mailing list, now you're receiving an offer or something, it's like, right, I definitely need to book, and you're trying to get people through that funnel. But if Helen is just posting, a picture of 2 cocktails, how is that driving those people through there to getting them into your store?
Yeah.
And it's not. And I think that's it's just all. Marketing is an ecosystem for whatever sector that you're in.
What are your thoughts on? So the question that just came to mind then is, I like it when I want to go somewhere to eat and it's so easy to book a table. I can just go on their website, right, and just do it there and then.
Yeah.
But I've had it also where I have been somewhere eventually to eat where I've had to call to book because they don't have like an online booking thing, but it was amazing at the same time. It was like super authentic and whatnot. And I don't know whether, what's your opinion with that? Do you think like all restaurants should make it super fucking easy for everyone to book and you should be able to do it all online? Or is there still a place for maybe somewhere that feels like quite, I don't know, it leans into that like really authentic kind of like quaint place where it's more personal and you make a phone call to
have both.
What's your opinion on that?
Have both. Because you forget people, like my grandma won't be using an online booking system.
Okay.
I go back to dual income, no kids. She's retired with money to spend on meals with family. It's like, all right, okay, my grandma wants to take us somewhere. Like we've just got her off a Nokia brick using like a smartphone, and she still doesn't understand WhatsApp and stuff. The last thing she wants to do is type in a website. I don't even think she knows how to use it.
Okay.
Whereas if she knows, Chloe, what's the phone number? I can send her the number, she can ring them. Write it down in a little notepad next to her home phone that she's still got. It's like, that for her is the easiest thing. For me, my easiest thing is, right, I'll just do it quickly now, I don't want to speak to anyone, I'm quite busy. But then at the same time, it's like, again, it comes back to occasions. If there's an occasion where, it's, hi, I'm booking a table for 10 people, this is the reason why we're calling, can you do this and this? I think having both those different options is good, but I think if you've got an online booking system, make it as simple as possible to use.
Yeah.
Because I've been on some before, even for like spas, and you're trying to book, and it's like keep sending you around the houses, add this, do that, and you're like, oh my god, and you've just given up with it, and you're like, I'm not going. So I'd probably say just have both, make it as easy. And I think as well though, like a lot of people now, like this one with the doctors, there was no branding anywhere to point where this doctor's was. It was in like a building in town. And I was like, trying to ring them, I was like, oh, I'm going to be late. Press 1 for this. And I'm like, I don't want to press 1, I just want to speak to a person.
Okay.
So if you've got a phone, and you do want to have like the press 1 for bookings, press 2 for something else, have as less options as possible, because it's just going to put someone off booking it.
So do you think, like, you said have both, because I get it, where if you've got a large group of people, and maybe you want to put some decorations up, I don't know, someone's birthday, a few balloons and whatnot, you want to organise that with them. If you were a restaurant that was attracting like smaller groups of people, do you think it's detrimental to that restaurant not to have an online booking system? So they're in their mind going, no, we want to stay to our roots and have people like call up and book a table. Mm-hmm. Do you think it is detrimental to them not having an online booking system of some description?
I want to say yes on the whole, but if you are positioning yourself as this exclusive, you can only ring for a table type of restaurant, that's different.
But you've got to scream about that. For
the run-of-the-mill business, I'd say, you need to.
Yeah.
You need to have an online booking system, 100%. It frustrates me sometimes when it's like, walk-ins only. I'm not going to walk in, I want to know I've got a table. I don't want to be queued up outside as well.
A lot of brunch places do that in Manchester, I've noticed. And if you have an idea in mind of where you want to go and you get there for like close to 11, you're queuing for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think, that's just my opinion. Some people will happily wait in a queue. I'd just go somewhere else. Whereas if I know I've got a table, definitely, I'm going to turn up, take a deposit. If you don't turn up, you'll have someone who's probably going to try and walk in anyway.
The deposit thing is interesting there because like all these brunch places, I think the brunch scene in Manchester is quite big. And if they do just do walk-ins only, then they can maximise the amount of people that they're turning around and make more money.
Yeah.
But if you have the booking system in place that takes a deposit, it does protect them.
Yeah.
More and more restaurants are doing that now.
I think as well though, surely from like a financial side, it's if you know how many bookings you've got for that day, you can estimate how busy you're going to be, how many staff you're going to need. Would you not recommend people to have bookings compared to walk-ins only?
I would say it depends on the average value of what you're selling.
Mm-hmm.
So in a brunch style setting, that you typically only order in one course, and then you go in, and the average plate value is lower, then you can get away with just doing walk-ins only.
Okay.
But if you're a more of an evening restaurant vibe,
Yeah.
I think it's much easier to plan and be efficient with your costs when you run a booking system like that.
Yeah.
Because your second biggest cost, other than your raw produce for delivering on what you're serving on a plate, is your staff costs.
Yeah.
So we've all been to restaurants or bars where there's 3 or 4 people behind the bar and one person waiting to be served and whatnot. That's just dead money, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas if you have an idea as to how many people are going to be walking through that night, 3 bookings, then you know enough staff to have on, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas you might just do walk-in only, but then the heavens open and all of a sudden people don't want to go that day, but you've already done your rota, you've already got staff to come in and whatnot, but it's much quieter than you thought it was going to be. Whereas if you did do a booking system, some people might bail, right, if they don't fancy it. Well, because if someone's booked a table, they're probably still going to go because they've committed themselves in the past to doing something in the future, right? And
And if you've paid a deposit as well,
for sure,
or you will be charged £20 per head, you're going to go because you're like, well, I'm not wasting that money. That's my money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go and spend more. But yeah.
Having something like that, it's good. Like some people don't like it, that they're paying a deposit when you make a booking. But if I'm talking purely on a finance side of things, then most of them say we have like a buffer for how late you can be and stuff like that. If you're over 15 minutes late, we may give your table away. So they've had your deposit and then they might still fill that table anyway.
Yeah.
It's like a win-win for the restaurant and they're protected.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think most restaurants still are pretty sound where if you are genuinely really late, you can just call them up.
It happens.
Very reasonable.
Yeah, it does.
Because, I don't know, if I was running late to a restaurant, I could have done nothing about it and I call up and they're a bit of a dick about it. I'm never going to go back.
No, you're not. Whereas if they hold the table for you, again, it comes into that experience.
You remember it, won't you? Right?
Yeah, and you tell people, oh my God, I thought I was going to... It's in one sense, it's a storytelling aspect. Like, oh my God. So the other day, I was really late for my table. I went to Six by Nico a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't realise it was on the same weekend as Manchester Pride. All the roads were shut. I was trying to get a taxi through town, and I was like, we're going to have to get out and walk, because I rang the restaurant, hi, I'm so sorry, we're stuck in traffic, we're about 20 minutes away, we've got a table booking in 10. Oh, no worries, thank you for letting us know. And then telling, oh, you'll never guess what happened on the weekend, but it was so nice about it.
Yeah, but it could be flipped to that, couldn't it? You'd be like, oh, at this table.
Those bastards!
Yeah, ruined my night, never fucking getting back. Oh, God.
But, yeah, I think, okay, so we'll try and wrap it up, and I think we've discussed a lot. We have discussed a lot, like really, really broad. We have digressed a lot. Yeah. What would you say then for restaurants who are starting from zero, or have already established but need to just take a look at everything again? What 3 things would you say that they should look at straight away?
Okay, the 3 obvious things that come to mind are like pricing. So you know the style of dishes that you want, you know the vibe, or think about how much it's costing you to produce each plate and make sure your pricing reflects the margin that you want. Mm-hmm. So that's 1. 2, have a source of truth. So a bookkeeping software that you understand. So challenge your accountant to empower you to know what you're doing in terms of navigating your bookkeeping software, so you can actually see how your business is performing. It's not your accountant's business, it's your business. So you should know how to use your bookkeeping software, right? And then 3, forecast. Like, must do a forecast, and that involves everything from the money that you put in initially to your business, to all of your startup costs, and then when you're actually running, okay, how many people do you think you're going to be getting in a certain month and whatnot. But then once you've got that data, it helps you forecast even further ahead, because then you can be like, well, in the summer we typically do 30 covers like a night, or whatever it could be. Helps you plan, but you can only plan if you collect that data anyway, right? But yeah, forecasting, because as I said earlier on, it's really, really, really not unreasonable to assume that for every £100 that you take in, only £5 of that is profit, and that's for a well-run restaurant, right? And that sounds crazy, but with that in mind, cash is king, and you need to have an idea of what's coming up and not treat money in your bank because that's all your money, because it's not.
Cool, I like it.
Okay, what would you say from a marketing perspective? If you had to narrow down to three things to get right, just three things.
So I'd say if you're launching and you've never opened before, give yourself enough time, 6 weeks minimum if you've got your branding sorted. 12 weeks if you haven't got your branding sorted. Don't rush the launch process. Build anticipation, build FOMO, and create that fear of missing out on, oh my God, I need to go to this place.
So just on that, sorry, like as someone who's not marketing minded, when you say get your branding sorted, what does that mean?
Oh gosh, this is going to be, okay.
Could go deep.
We could go deep.
Like,
so when I say your branding, I don't just mean, oh yeah, we've got a really nice logo and some colours that we use.
That's where my brain would go.
Yeah. For me, branding's a lot more than just that. It's about your values, how you position yourself in the market. So whenever I work with a brand that wants to either rebrand or launch, we do what's called like a brand positioning map. So it's like, okay, here's your competitors, here's the market leaders, and it'll be, say for example, you want something that's, you want to be portrayed as like intimate and luxury. The opposites of those would be casual and affordable. Yeah. And it's, okay, where's your competitors on this chart? Okay, where do you want to be among them? And normally we say try and position yourself away from those people, because that's where you'll stand out there. What it's like down to your tone of voice, the language that you use, sort of like, as I mentioned, like your values. So, oh, because we value this, we talk about this. It plays into sort of like a messaging house as well. So a messaging house is something that we create which has like your top level, like how you speak to your audience, basically, like taglines you use. I was going to ask you to. I won't go into it too much. I'll probably next time I will talk about it next time in a bit more detail. Yeah. But if you imagine a house, at the top is like your key message that everyone's going to understand. And then I will continue to talk about it very, very quickly. And then say the further down you get, you've got your 4 building blocks, so your 4 different audience types, how you speak to those depending on what their needs are. So, you've got my grandma who's a pensioner. Fair. You've got me who's a dink person. But then you've got maybe someone who's a student, and then you've got the other demographic. Yeah. How your messaging relates to those people. So your branding comes into it a lot more. The same with how your image photography is, your images, your videography, photography is done and portrayed online. I always set up imaging guidelines for clients where don't take a picture of your food like this, do it like this because of this. And it sets the tone later down the line with all your marketing. So circling back then, enough time pre-launch. Yeah. If your branding's right. Yeah, if your branding's right. Okay. So 6 weeks minimum to launch if your branding's right for like your marketing campaigns, sign-up campaigns and everything. Okay. 12 weeks if you still need to sort your branding, because normally speaking, if you want a good brand, you need a good couple of months to do it. Don't rush it. There's back and forth, there's workshops that you need to do. And don't confuse yourself, like logo is not branding is not just a logo, there's more to it. Okay. 2. Number 2, I'd probably say collaboration is key. So collaborating with existing businesses or existing media partners that have your audience, or, for example, say you want to stock Manchester gin in one of your bars. Okay, can we share your audience that like Manchester gin and invite them to an event? Fair. It's utilising what's already out there by collaborating. I know that sounds quite like cliche, but using the money, okay, you've got your audience there, bringing those people in. Working with not just influencers, but content creators as well, because the purpose of a content creator is to create content. It's not to influence people to come to your business. You can then use their content to create more, to push your brand out there and create that awareness as well, you can send that to your media partners.
My immediate question was going to be, what's the difference from your perspective? You went into it.
I kind of answered that.
Yeah. But when you said about influencers and content creators, I was like, but then you explained.
Mm-hmm. And if you are using influencers, make sure you bloody check that they're actually good and they're not just buying the likes, because a lot of people say, oh yeah, they've got 10,000 followers and 500 likes. I'm like, but their videos only get 400 views, so that doesn't work. And then I'd say for number 3, if you were starting again or you wanted to do something straight away, start collecting data from day dot. Emails, names, and birthdays. Those 3 things to start off with. Have a good email marketing software. So Klaviyo or MailChimp. There's a couple out there which I don't like, and people try and just go for the cheaper option. It'll cost you more in the long run. So definitely, like, Klaviyo is my favourite, hands down. I think there's so much that you can do with it. The reporting on it's amazing. And just start collecting that data, following up with people as well, and making sure that they've had a nice time, because that feeds into it all. It feeds into your recommendations and your reviews and stuff.
We do that in our business as well. Obviously, we're service based, but the following up with people and doing like client surveys and stuff like that. So you have this concept of a net promoter score. So when you buy something from somewhere and it's like from 1 to 10, would you recommend this to a friend sort of thing? That's what they're doing.
Okay.
So you have, so I've worked in the past at a place where we did a client survey and we had a negative net promoter score, and it was a very simple fix, and it was just responsiveness.
Yeah.
And you can do an amazing job, but if no one knows you're doing an amazing job or is led along the process with you, then they'll think you're doing a shit job or think nothing's happening. So we quickly amended those processes and created a really seamless service, and our net promoter score changed overnight. But then I think you can factor this into restaurants. How it kind of works is you have your 1s to 6s, which are your detractors. They're not going to promote you at all. They have a terrible time maybe. You got your 7s and 8s that are passive. They like you, but they don't like you enough to maybe.
Yeah.
And then your 9s and 10s are your ones that are going to be sort of advocates and talk about you when you're not in the room and whatnot.
And I'm not sure on the technicalities of it, but I'm sure from a survey like that you can then segment those audiences into loyal fans, likely to return, those type of things.
Your 9s and 10s. You might want to ask them to leave you a review. Well, you definitely want to ask them to leave you a review.
Yeah, ask them to leave you a review. But they're the ones who probably then don't need a promotion to get them through the door again. They're probably going to come back.
Possibly.
Whereas me, a bargain hunter, I might be the one who you want to send this week only 20% off. All right, I've got to go because I've got to save my 20% and spend my 20 with you. It's once you know who you're speaking to, not every message is for everybody.
Yeah.
Someone who's a really loyal fan who will come regardless of whether there's an offer or not, don't need an offer to get through the door. Someone who's not been before is still on a bit of the fence, might benefit from one. Someone who only comes for offers, send them your offers.
Okay.
And you'll be able to pull the information through a booking system, but it just depends on how that's all set up, I suppose.
There you go. Thanks guys for listening to our first podcast. Hopefully you've found this useful. This is the start of things to come. We've talked about a lot. Talked about marketing, talked about the finances. We haven't gone too deep into either topic, but we want to. So that's what we're going to do in the next few episodes. In episode 2, going to delve more into the finances, going to look at how you even start to think about putting a cash flow forecast together, how you choose the right KPIs to track month on month, whether you're starting out as a business or whether you have been going for a number of years and want to change things around. How do you choose what to track? So that's what I'm going to talk about.
And then in episode 3, I'll be talking about how to tell your hospitality brand story. So everything from who you are as a brand, how to present that, and the marketing that comes with it.
Let's go. Yes.